everyone, my name is Amaka and you're welcome to Lizama Stitches. If you're yet to subscribe to this channel, please click on the subscribe button and subscribe, and also turn on the notification bell so that whenever I upload new videos, you'll be notified. In this tutorial, we'll be learning how to make an A-line dress. So let's get started. I've drawn some lines already. I'm going to tell you what I did. Now this is my starting point, which is also going to serve as my shoulder line. This is my waist point. This is my hip point. This is the full length of the dress, and this I have 1 inch hemming allowance here. Now from here, from the shoulder line, from the shoulder point to the waist point is 16 inches. From the shoulder point to the hip point is 24 inches. From the shoulder point, the full length of the dress is 39 inches, and I have 1 inch hemming allowance. Now I folded my fabric. I have my front panel here and my back panel. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to take my shoulder measurement. Now my shoulder measurement is 14 inches. 14 divided by 2 gives you 7 inches. Plus ½ inch seam allowance gives you 7.5 inches. So I'm going to mark 7.5 inches. The front neck width is 4 inches. And the front neck depth is 3 inches. And because I'm going to slit the front, so I'm going to mark 4 inches for my slit. Now from this point, I marked 4 inches for my slit. Now the back neck depth, the back neck width is also 4 inches. The back neck depth is 1 inch. So I'm going to connect these lines. Now from this point, I'm going to come down by 1 inch for my shoulder slant. And I'll connect it to this point. I'm going to take my armhole measurements. My armhole measurement is 16 inches. 16 divided by 2 gives you 8 inches. So from this point, from this slant, I'm going to mark 8 inches. So this is 8 inches. This is 8 inches. Now I'm going to connect this point to this point with a straight line. And I'll extend this point to this point with an horizontal line. So this is my chest point. So I'm going to find the midpoint of this line. But before I do that, I'm going to impute my bust measurement on my chest point. Now this is my chest point. I'm going to impute my bust measurement on my chest point. The bust circumference I'm working with is 38 inches. 38 divided by 4 gives you 9.5 inches. So this is 9.5 inches. So I'm going to find the midpoint of this line. Now the midpoint of this line is 4 inches, and this is my 4 inches. From this midpoint, I'm going to come in by 3/4 of an inch. So this is 3/4. Now I'm going to connect this point to this point with my armhole curve. I'll connect this point to this point. So this is my front armhole. Now for the back armhole, I'm going to connect this point to this point. I'm not coming inside. I'll just connect this point to this point. So this is my back armhole and this is my front armhole. Now the next thing I'm going to do is this. I'm going to come back to my chest point. The bust circumference I'm working with is 38 inches. 38 divided by 4 gives you 9.5 inches. Plus 1 inch for ease gives you 10.5 inches. Plus 1 inch for seam allowance gives you 11.5 inches. So I'm going to mark 11.5 inches here. So this is my 11.5 inches. On my waist point, I'm going to take my waist measurement on my waist point. The waist circumference I'm working with is 32 inches. 32 divided by 4 gives you 8 inches. Plus 1 inch for 8 inches plus 1 inch for ease gives you 9 inches. Plus 1 inch for seam allowance gives you 10 inches. So I'm going to mark 10 inches here. So this is my 10 inches. This is my hip point. On my hip point, I'm going to take my hip measurement. The hip circumference I'm working with is 40 inches. 40 divided by 4 gives you 10 inches. Plus 2 inches for ease gives you 12 inches. Plus 1 inch for seam allowance gives you 13 inches. So I'm going to mark 13 inches on this line. So this is 13 inches. Now on this point, which is the hemline, I'm going to mark my hip circumference on the hemline. The hip circumference is 40 inches. 40 divided by 4 gives you 10 inches. Plus 4 inches for ease. 4 inches for ease gives you 14 inches. Plus 1 inch seam allowance gives you 15 inches. I'm going to mark 15 inches on this line. So this is 15 inches. So the same thing I have here, I'm going to mark on the hemline. So now I'm going to connect this point. I'm going to connect this point to this point with my hip curve. I'm going to connect this point to this point. On this point, I'm going to add ½ inch seam allowance. So I'm going to cut it. I'm going to start by cutting the back. I'm going to remove the back and trim the front. So I've removed the back. This is the back. I'm going to trim the front. Now I'm going to cut the front facing. Now before I cut, I'm going to open this. I'm going to slit the front. I'm going to slit this front. Remember that I marked 4 inches for my slit. So I'm going to slit it now. So I'm going to mark that 4 inches here on the facing. I'm going to cut this out. So this is the front facing. This is my front facing. I want to cut the back facing. So this is how I'm going to do it. Now this fabric is folded into two. Don't fold. So I'm going to place this on this. I'm going to place my dress on this, just like this. So I'm going to cut facing for the back panel. This is how I'll do it. So this is the back facing and this is the front. So this is how I'm going to join it. I'm going to join these two together. I'm going to take it to my sewing machine and I'll sew it like this. I'm going to sew it right side facing right side, just like this. And I'll sew here. I'll sew here as well. So I'm going to place my hand this way and I will mark. So I'll cut it. So with this, I'm going to cut another one because what I need is 4. I need 4 of this. Let me show you how to attach your pocket to your dress. Now this is where I notched for my pocket. So this is my pocket. I'm going to attach my pocket to the dress, right side facing right side. This is the right side of my pocket and this is the right side of my dress. So I'm going to attach it right side facing right side. I'm going to sew it. I'll take it to my sewing machine and I'll sew it. Let me illustrate with pin. So I'm going to sew it this way. I'll sew it. After sewing, I'm going to turn it this way. I'm going to turn it this way. I'm going to turn it. I'm going to push the seam. I'm going to notch. After notching, I'll push the seam to the pocket and top stitch. Now, the same way I've attached this pocket, that's how I'm going to attach all the pockets. I'm going to take it to my sewing machine and I'm going to join it this way. I'll place my dress this way. By then, I must have joined the shoulder. I just want to show you how to attach your pocket. Then I'll sew this way. I'm going to sew it this way. Hope you're seeing what I'm doing. I placed the dress right side facing right side. And I'm going to sew it this way. I'll sew it this way. And sew it this way. The same way I'm going to sew here, I'm also going to sew the other side. This is the right side of my dress. So this is my tie. I'm going to place my tie this way and this way. And I'll place the facing I'm going to attach the facing this way. And I'll sew it. I'll sew. Now this is the right side. This is the front facing. And this is my front panel. Now I'm going to attach the facing right side facing right side. And I'm going to sew. I'm going to sew it this way. I'll sew it this way. I'll sew and sew here. Sew this part too. I'm also going to sew here and sew here. And I'll sew here. After sewing, I'll now turn my facing to the wrong side. I'll turn my facing to the wrong side, and this band When I turn my facing to the wrong side, this band will be inside. This band will be like this and like this. I'll just do it and show you. This is what I was trying to explain. Now, this is it. Now, this is my tie. This is my tie. Now, this is the front facing. I've sewn it together. This is the back facing. Now, you see what it looks like. So, I'm going to turn it. Now, this is the right side. So, I'm going to turn it inside. I'm going to turn the facing inside. So this is my band, you see. Now this, hope you're seeing what I'm doing. So I'm going to notch. Before I turn it, I just want to show you. Before I turn it, I'm going to notch and I'll top stitch. I'm going to push the seam allowance to the facing and top stitch. After top stitching, then I'll turn it. When I turn it, my tie will come out. So this is my tie. So after this, after turning it, I'm going to join the, so I'm going to sew the sides. I'm going to sew the sides, and this is how I'll do it. I'm going to sew it this way. I'm going to sew it this way. Then I'll hem the lower part. That is after I must have top stitched on the pockets. Then I'll sew it this way and I'll hem the lower part. After hemming the lower part, I'll fix the sleeve. Then I'll show you. Now my sleeve is a cold shoulder sleeve. So I'm going to, and I'm using, it's going to be a full circle. So this fabric is folded into two. I'm going to fold it, it's folded into two. I'm going to fold it again into four. So I folded my fabric into four. My round sleeve is 11.5 inches plus 2 inches seam allowance gives you 13.5 inches. 13.5 inches divided by 6.28 gives you 2 inches. Now 6.28 is the formula for full circle because this is a full circle. The sleeve is going to be a full circle. So 13.5 inches divided by 6.28 gives you 2 inches. So I'm going to mark 2 inches here. From here I'm going to mark 2 inches. So this is my 2 inches. Now the length of my sleeve is 5 inches plus 1.5 inches seam allowance gives you 6.5 inches. Now 1.5 inches, I'm going to use 3/4 inch to fold here and 3/4 inch to hem the lower part. So I'm going to mark 6.5 inches. So I'm going to add 1/2 inch seam allowance here. After cutting, this is what I have. Now this is my sleeve. This is what I have after cutting. Now I'm going to use 3/4 inch to hem here and 3/4 inch to hem here. If you make yours and you have excess, you can still trim out some or you fold it in. So this is my sleeve. I'm going to attach it to the dress.